Shut up and sit down.
It's Modders Inc., and we're at the second day of the Mod in Taiwan In-Win Invitational. Right now the guys have been in there about an hour and a half on the second day, which is Saturday. They're getting a little more used to the, environment. It's nice and hot. They got plenty of fans around, but the humidity is kind of high and still kind of hot in there. They went out and got some ACs and stuff last night, but I think they're starting to adapt to it. And today, when we go through there, you're actually going to see quite a bit of difference in the cases. So yesterday was a lot of planning, a lot of designing, and some disassembly. But today you're going to see a lot of them are actually putting them back together. There's some out there, they've actually changed the case quite a bit. I mean, they've drilled out every popper of it, and they've changed it in the front's now the back, the top is the back, the sides. I mean, there's going to be a lot of different things you're going to see out there. A lot of hand tools. Lots and lots of hand tools. You're going to see that. So, like I said yesterday, you're going to see where you can really do a lot of cool stuff with just what you have in your own garage. So we're going to go out. We're going to take a walk around while we're looking in through the camera, give you some updates. Maybe we might even talk to a couple of the guys, but we'll go through and we'll say which team is what and give you guys a little quick look at what they've been doing. We're out in the main work area, and behind me you'll see where a lot of guys are already working, and they've got their workstations set up. Like I said, there's going to be quite a big difference you're going to be able to see today of some of the things that have been happening. So what we're looking at right now is Team Kun Mod. So these guys have been kind of in the back area, but doing two different things at once, which is exactly what the teams need to be doing. I think they're trying to work with looks like probably 3/8, a 1/4 inch plexi that I guess he didn't like that piece. And he had to take that apart. But looks like they're trying to make some kind of design in there. Not real sure. Yeah, I haven't heard these guys talk that much. But again, they're using a lot of the hand tools. It's basically a hand tool city back here. Got some electric grinders. I heard that there are a few drills, cordless drills and cordless saws that they can use. Some of the tools are having to be shared. So the next team after that is actually Team MSPC. So they've got a fairly clean workspace compared to the other guys. So it looks like what they've done is they're making a shroud that goes around the bottom of the power supply there. And what else do we've got going on? It looks like building the pieces on the front. Adding some pieces to the front here. I think they're a little bit still in part of the design phase. Looks like they've cut on the side panels. They've cut a window out. Looks like maybe on the side panel. Like I said, they've got something on the front side they're designing. But looks like a fairly good start for these guys. So at the end of the line here, because we started on the back side, we worked our way towards the front, is BS Mods. These guys have done quite a bit of extensive work already. I mean, they've changed the side panels up extensively. They're not even going to, looks like, even use any of the original side panel pieces. Looks like they're using, that might be steel. That feels like it. That's pretty heavy. It's not aluminum. So they've gone ahead and off the side here, it looks like they've got a shield on the side. I can't tell if they've got any holes underneath. They're probably going to, I'm going to guess, probably backlit that shield. They were able to go out into the factory and get the corners bent and pressed. So that's a big advantage to be able to do that. Again, like we said earlier, that they can come out and do just about any part of the factory. I mean, I'm sure if they even had the designs for the laser cutters or the plasma cutters, whatever else they have out there, that they would be able to use that to do their designs. The cases that these guys are using, I think they were originally maybe not released yet, I was told, but we're looking at it. There's a couple of things that are actually out here that we can't show yet because they will be released in a couple of days at Computex. So if you see some audio edits or some blurred out spots, that's probably why. But overall, it's a great second day. You can really see where they've really gotten quite a bit work done. We'll come back in let's say a couple more hours, because right now looks like they're down to 6 hours and 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Next one up in the middle here, we got Team Down Under. So what they're doing, it looks like it's going to be, they're going with a military theme. There are 3 themes that they can pick, because that would be really crazy for like fantasy. But then again, that could be somebody's fantasy. So we talked to them earlier yesterday, and what they're going to be doing is using these reservoirs as like a belt chain for the bullets that you see there. And they have another spot on the other side. It's a backpack. It looks like a backpack they've made out of the fans and radiators. We'll come back with these guys a little later. They're already doing one interview. We'll come back a little later and see if we can get a little more information from them. So next up in the middle that we have next is Babtech. So these guys were doing some crazy stuff earlier. Let's see if we can get a close-up of this one piece. So this is a reservoir that they're making. And so if you can see on the inside, it has the InWind logo and all that stuff. And I've asked those guys, I'm like, hey, wow, so you were able to use a laser cutter and stuff for this in the shop? They're like, oh, no. Like, well, how did you do that? They use an actual blade from just a metal hacksaw. And they stick it into a handle. And he says, that's the tool that we've had for like the last 5 years, and we do all this stuff. I said, bullshit. It's like, no, and so he shows it to me. I'm not going to reach it into their bag, but we'll come back later and we'll talk a little more in details. But they were able to do that, and they have a special compound they've been using for polishing the edges. But if they can do that with a saw blade, I can't imagine what else they can do. Okay, so the middle team, what we're doing here, you see the guys using a cordless drill and working that. We have is Team MBF. I do believe this is the French team. So it looks like what they're doing here on one side is that he's making a custom panel that's going to cover the power supply, it looks like, and probably the motherboard. Or they might be making a whole brand new bracket for the motherboard. We'll find a little bit. Yeah, I can see where they have it laid out, sketched out where the motherboard is probably going there. So it might be a cover that's going to go over the power supply, the bottom half, and then the motherboard. But again, this is good. You can see these guys are working on 2 different aspects of it, getting a lot of it done. It's the only way you're going to be able to do it is teamwork like that. So this is Team MBF. What we're looking at is the cases. They've pretty much cut it up pretty good. This used to be the back of the case. So we're kind of thinking that they're flipping it. So what we looked over there before looks like a panel that they might be covering the motherboard with, but maybe it is the new motherboard back panel, because this is definitely the back of the case, which now looks to me like front of the case with all the holes in the buttons. Then again, I could be wrong. They could be switching it completely, because on the back side, they've actually built a shield, which could be probably the spot. Maybe this is going to be the spot where the video cards and all the I/O ports and everything is on the back side of it. So definitely a different progress, a different look than the other ones that we've seen. We're here with Team Mongoose, and we'll be talking to Ron Lee Christensen. And you guys have seen a lot of his work around, so he's really getting into this, and I'm getting more excited too, is this L200 foam. You can just make basically any shape, anything you want, any design, and takes modding almost like to the next level.
This is the first time I've ever used it.
Oh, I thought you said you've already used this before.
I sampled around with it at home, just, you know, playing with it to see how it behaves, but actually on a mod, this is the first time.
Oh, on a mod?
Yeah, on a mod, this is the first time. I usually like using plastics, polystyrene, you know, ABS, but the foam is a quick, I mean, you don't have to, you know, do a lot. I mean, it cuts really easy, has the same characteristics as the polystyrene. You basically seal it, and it becomes rigid. You know, it's a closed cell foam. You hit it with a heat gun, closes those cells, and you hit it with a top coat of glue, and it becomes rigid. It's like great stuff. And you know, for a 24-hour mod contest, it's, you know, I'm able to knock out quite a few panels in just a really short time. I'm getting pretty close to putting my first coats of color on here pretty shortly.
So in case people don't recognize what you're doing, what are you creating?
We're working on a Titanfall mod, and we're doing the Titan here. We built his eye yesterday. See, this is another great thing about this L200 foam, is that you can shape it with a heat gun. You can do this also with ABS and styrene, but it's a longer process to get that, you know, that curve, you know, and then to get all those like little panel lines in there. You just score it with a knife and hit it with a heat gun, and just blows out that hole and gives you a nice detail. And so I finished this yesterday within, I don't know, an hour and a half, got the LEDs and everything. Normally, like with styrene, this would take twice as long, you know. So yeah, these there's a white LED here, a blue LED here, and this is this portion of the Titan will build up the front portion where we're going to have our LCD screen there, and then we'll have the trailer that we created basically on a loop. It's going to run. Yeah, it's like our intro and Inwin's 30th anniversary logo on there, and a little bit of the Titanfall trailer as well.
Wow, this is some crazy stuff. I love that. And I think you said this part here is the Warbler, right?
Yeah, it's a styrofoam backing, and then we just used a piece of Warbler, which is a thermoplastic. You get it really hot, and you just shape it. And that gave my styrofoam basically a really hard shell. That
like a lot of rigid stuff. I mean, you can take a screwdriver and ram it into that almost.
Yeah, it's rock solid.
Okay, so that's what they're doing here at Team Mongoose. Ron, thank you, and man, hope you guys kick some ass with this.
All right, thanks for coming by.
Thank you. Wasn't that a great video? I know you liked it, so go ahead and subscribe to our channel. And after you do that, go over to Modders Inc. and check out some of our reviews, our how-to guides, and also our forums. So please check us out.